Hello, my name is Elena Safronova. I am 32 years old, and 6 years ago I work as a quality control engineer in Construce. My mission? Ensure that every detail of residential buildings and shopping centers is in full compliance with technical standards, regulations, and approved projects. It is a huge responsibility, but it fills me with pride. But in recent months, my routine has become a bland loop, waking up, working, returning to my parents' tiny apartment on the outskirts of Ekaterinburg. Living with them was supposed to be temporary, while my house was going through a complete renovation. 2 months ago, the works team invaded my space, and now what was my refuge looks more like a battlefield: naked walls, torn floors, exposed wiring. An organized chaos, or at least it was to be. When I asked my parents, they stifled, with a condition. I would bear with all home expenses, accounts, purchases, internet, everything. I even hired a fiber optical plan with a TV package for them. After all, I needed a stable connection to work, and they loved to watch the programs. More 1,500 rubles per month in the budget, but okay, family is family, isn't it? My older sister, Lisa, 35, married to Anton, works mid-time as a market in any company. They have Igor, a smart boy 5, but whenever they need to leave, whether for a walk or to visit Anton's family, guess who turns the official nanny? That's right, me. Elena, stay with Igor just a little, they say. This little invariably becomes a whole day. And not that I don't like my nephew, but I didn't sign a contract to be full-time caregiver. My parents, both over 60, live a quiet retirement. My father spent 30 years in a factory and today divides the time between TV and the workshop at the back of the backyard. My mother, a former supermarket stake, takes care of the house and complains when the money does not yield. They are not rich, but neither do needs. But since I moved here, I stopped being a daughter to become a kind of paying tenant. Each expense of mine is analyzed as if I were a strange occupying space. Worse, no one seems to realize the irony of the situation. That Tuesday, it all started as always. I grabbed my coffee from the bakery near the subway, checked the emails and went to the survey of a new Class A shopping center in the Molesheva neighborhood. The charger of the works was waiting for me at 10 a.m., and, to my surprise, the traffic was light, a rarity in Ekaterinburg. I arrived until 15 minutes in advance. On the way, I thought of my house, the reform that was finally taking shape. The Proiro Artem had sent me photos of the new kitchen, minimalist and elegant. I already wondered how I would organize every corner, even dreamed of having an inauguration party for friends. I missed my corner, my independence. The radio played an old hit, and I sang along, drumming my fingers on the wheel. In the traffic light ahead, the signal opened. I accelerated to pass, and then, nothing. Total darkness. I don't remember the impact, the noise of the metal twisting, the glazing glasses. I don't remember the car that must have ignored the red light. A second before, I sang. In the following, only the void. I woke up in a white room, smelling of alcohol and medicine. My head weighed a ton, and a device was bipated beside me. It took me a few seconds to understand where it was, a hospital, no doubt. The left side of the body was numb, but acute pain pulsed under the insensitivity. Pipes, wires, serum all connected to me. A nurse noted that I had awakened and called the doctor. Elena Safronova? I'm Andrei Petrovich Sergeyev, your doctor. 3 days ago, you had a serious accident. Remember something? 3 days. It looked like I had closed my eyes for a moment. No, nothing. My voice sounded I hear, strange. How am I? Your situation is critical. We have already undergone 2 surgeries. We removed your spleen and stopped an internal bleeding. His left hand had an exposed fracture, which was stabilized, and 3 broken ribs. In a few days, we will do another arm operation. But in general, you were lucky. The ambulance arrived on time. Luck. Of course. Did anyone in my family come to see me? The doctor flipped some papers. We called the contact of your phone. Your mother said she was aware. It seemed more concerned with how the accident would hinder her plans for the weekend. He said something about alternatives. My stomach turned around. It was my mother, no doubt. And someone else. Some colleagues called the company. All very worried. But from the family, no. No one appeared. I ordered my phone. The nurse brought him the cracked but functional screen. I opened the messages and, with each word, a knot was formed in my throat. It was from my mother, Elena. Because of her accident, all our plans went downhill. We were going to visit Aunt Marina in Nizhny Tagil, and you were going to get Igor. Now Lisa will have to get a nanny, and that will be expensive. You at least think about others. Lisa, my sister, added, great gift, Elena. Now I will have to pay a stranger to take care of my son. You have no idea of the damage you have caused. There was no single question about my state. No support word. Just complaints. I opened the family chat on WhatsApp. 12 new messages in 3 days. My mother, well, Elena got it again. My father, and now, what do we do with Igor? Lisa, I can't believe she didn't even think about how it affects us. Anton, my brother-in-law, maybe she should drive more carefully. My mother again, we'll have to cancel the trip or hire someone. Anyway, it's more expenses. Lisa concluded, she was always selfish, but that's too much. I relicked the messages twice. No one, absolutely no one, asked how I was. If it was alive. Felt pain. Only lamented the ruined plans, the discomfort, the money. I started typing, if anyone cares, I'm alive. But I deleted. For what? If they cared, they would have asked alone. Lying in that bed, looking at those words, it was as if a curtain fell from my eyes. I remembered everything. From the Christmas I saved for months to buy gifts, a Bosch professional drill for my father, gold earrings for my mother, a valley for an expensive spa for Lisa and a state-of-the-art remote control car for Igor. What did I get? A valley of 2,000 rubles to a department store. Serious? Or when I was promoted to senior engineer, I called excited to tell the news. My mother's answer. Glad, daughter. In fact, couldn't you help Lisa with the performance of the house? They delayed again. No congratulations, no pride. Only one request for money. How many times have I rescued them? When Lisa's car broke, when my father needed an expensive dental treatment, when my mother needed a loan until the end of the month. But when I needed help to move 3 years ago, everyone was very busy. I hired porters, I turned alone. And always that weight in conscience. Elena abandoned her family because she couldn't keep her Igor because of a job trip. Elena is petty for not playing her sister's holidays. Elena doesn't help her by saying she couldn't lend money because she was gathering for the reform. Now, lying there with broken ribs and a destroyed arm, reading messages about how I spoiled everyone's life with my accident, the chip fell. A week passed at the hospital. Who visited me? Co-workers. Svetlana, from accounting, brought a pile of magazines. Misha, from the technical sector, a bouquet of chrysanthemums. Even Viktor Sergeyevich, my boss, appeared to say he doesn't worry. With work. And the family? Silence. They even organized my home office for recovery. These people, with whom I just shared 8 hours of office daily, showed more care than my own family. The friends also appeared. Genya brought home cookies, my favorites, oatmeal. Maxim arrived with a giant Sudoku, the one who doesn't let anyone die of boredom. They asked how I was, what I needed to take home when it would be the high. Normal questions of those who care. And you know how many times my parents came to see me? None. In 7 days, not a single visit. My mother's only message arrived on Thursday, don't forget to transfer the electricity bill. This month came more expensive than usual. I almost went out laughing. There, with 2 abdominal surgeries on the back, and she worried about kilowatts. Of course I transferred the money. Like always. After all, I always took care of everything. The day before the operation on the arm, Dr. Andrei Petrovich came to explain every detail, the titanium plates that would be placed, rehabilitation, recovery time. He answered all my questions patiently, warned of the risks. A complete stranger showed more attention and humanity than my own family. Do you have someone to help at home after the discharge? He asked. The first week will be difficult alone. He said he would find a way. What help expects from the family, if they are too busy or worse, angry at me for an accident that was not even my fault. The operation went well. I woke up with my arm in a cast, heavy as if a truck had passed over. But the doctor assured, it's all right. In a week, you go home. I called Artem, the master of works. Answered on time. Alyona, I heard about the accident. How are you? Live, at least. Even the bricklayer cared more than them. Better. And the reform? Great news. Let's end before the deadline. I send photos now. The phone vibrated. On the screen, my house, the new kitchen installed, the varnished wooden floor in the living room, the impeccably painted walls. An indescribable beauty. A real home, not just an address. When is it ready? Until the end of next week, maybe before. I know you're crazy to go back. For the first time since the accident, I felt a genuine joy. I could leave the hospital straight to my space, without having to go back to where they treated me like a dairy cow. 2 days later, I felt better. The pains diminished with the painkillers, the forces gradually returned. He dreamed of the high when the nurse came in with a worried expression. Your sister is here. It seems very shaken. I didn't have time to react. Lisa erupted in the room, red of anger, his eyes injected. Did you lose your head for good? He shouted from the doorway. Today I went to the clinic to have the lifting surgery I planned for months. And you know what they told me? The family insurance limit was exhausted by its operations. I looked at her, incredulously. Really? Now? Absolutely. Do you have an idea how much this procedure is cost without coverage? Lisa, I almost died. I had internal bleeding. I needed emergency surgery. Hey! You could have done only the essentials. Fix the minimum and leave the rest for later, paying your own pocket. But no, had to make a show. I didn't believe what I heard. Get out of here. I shouted with all the force my broken ribs allowed. I'll tell you everything. He threatened, turning to the door. What a angry hamster you are. And it owes me these 350,000. As soon as she left, I called the nurse and asked to block my family's visits. He arrives. I was fed up. At night, the phone wouldn't stop. My mother called non-stop. I put it in the silent. The messages accumulated. Alyona, Lisa told everything. How could you treat your sister like this? She is destroyed. You ruined her plans. Call it right now. I deleted without reading to the end. I got tired of the manipulations. Your sister's plans have broken, of course. And my bones. The scars through the body. But, of course, the victim was her. The following days were quiet. No family dramas, only recovery. On Friday, Dr. Andrei Petrovich released my discharge. The arm still cast, unable to carry weight, but finally could go home. I didn't warn the family. For what? I asked Genya, a friend since college, to seek me. Before leaving, I played in the family group. Today I get discharged. Nothing more. No requests, no expectations. Genya arrived with flowers and that smile that only she has. I help myself to sit in the car carefully. Are we going straight to your parents' house? Just to get my things. Then, to my apartment. The renovation ended. Really? How much? Yeah. And you know, Genya, I never come back there. Never. She squeezed my good hand. Do it right. When we stopped in front of the 9-story building where my parents lived, something was wrong. On the sidewalk, a pile of black garbage bags, about 10 at least. What crap is this? Genya frowned. I got out of the car and approached the nearest bag. It was torn. Inside, fabric. I opened more. My stomach turned. My clothes, my books, my documents. All thrown as rubble. I don't believe it, I whispered. The door of the building opened. There they were, my mother, my father, Lisa, and Anton, aligned as a jury. What is this? I pointed to the bags. Why are my things in the trash? My mother crossed her arms. We have decided that you are costing us too expensive. Because of your accident, family medical insurance is over. Now Lisa can't do her surgery. Arrange another place to live. Laugh. I couldn't hold back. A bitter laugh, from those who finally see the scam. That is, you expel me from the hospital, with plaster, points, everything. You only bring problems, cut Lisa. And it's still a thick. The way that treated me in the ICU was absurd. Did I treat you badly? You arrived at my ward shouting because I dared to use the insurance so as not to die. Not only not to die, my father interfered. I could have done a simpler treatment without so many expensive operations. Simple treatment. With internal bleeding. Do you hear what you say? My mother stepped forward. We welcomed you when you needed help. We gave a ceiling, and you returned with ingratitude and selfishness. Ingratitude? The word burned my throat. I paid for all your bills for months. I was a nanny for free on weekends, bought food, covered the expenses of the house while you were there, sitting. I played the light, the internet, luxury cable TV. But I lived here, she countered, as if it justified everything. I stayed there, looking at those faces. My family. People who, in theory, should love me unconditionally. And suddenly a cold clarity took over me. They don't love me. They never loved. I was only useful. I took a deep breath. Do you know one thing? Are you right? I'm ungrateful. Ingley for surviving that accident. And, above all, ungrateful for just now seeing who you are real. Lisa widened her eyes, as if I had slapped her. How do you dare? How do I dare? Talking the truth. You came to my ICU to scream because of a lifting while I left emergency surgery. And you? I turned to my mother. Not a visit in 2 weeks. Not one. We were busy, my father murmured. Too busy to see your daughter in the hospital. But not too much too. So busy that they threw my things in the trash. Genya carried the bags in the trunk in silence, while Aliona had already packaged everything. We leave. I gave one last look at the one who once called a family. Do you know what is the most cruel irony? I really thought you loved me. Years on end I struggled to be the perfect daughter, the sister. Reliable. I thought that if you got a lot, money, attention, sacrifices, you would finally love me back. But no. You never loved me. This is not true, my mother's voice trembled, fragile like cracked glass. And yes. And I was exhausted to pretend it wasn't. Enter the car. In the rearview mirror, their immovable bodies on the lawn, like salt statues, or rather hypocrisy. How are you? Genya asked, turning the key to the ignition. He knows. Well. Even better than well. And when we stopped in front of my building, I almost cried. Not of sadness, but of relief. The beauty of this was indescribable. Newly undergone walls, new windows that reflected the sun like diamonds, every detail thought by Artem. It was not a house. It was a rebirth. Genya helped install me, cooked a soup, made sure I wouldn't collapse on her own. When she left, I sat in my room and I felt something that had been estranged decades, peace. No billing tickets, no complaints for not being a nanny, no guilt for existing. I took the phone. Time to resume control. First connection. The insurer. I need to remove some people from my family health plan. The efficient and courteous attendant confirmed in 20 minutes. Mother, father, and Smooth excluded. In a few days, they would receive the notification. Second connection. The administrator of my parents' building. I cancelled automatic payments from their kitchenette. Then Rostelecom. I broke the premium plan contract, which, of course, was in my name. Each click on the phone was one weight less on the shoulders. 3 days later, an unknown number blinked on the screen. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. Aliona, it's Mom. Why did we receive letters saying we were taken from your insurer? Because I took it. But why? We are family. Family? I laugh, bitter. When I was in the ICU, you worried about your weekends. When I needed support, they threw my things in the trash. You are being vengeful. This does not match you. No, Mother. It suits, yes. I just didn't have the courage before. So it is not the family. You didn't act like a family when I decided I was Two-Face. We need this insurer. Your father has arthritis, I need pressure medicines. They should have thought of it before. Oh, and your Wi-Fi? Off. All payments cancelled. No basic basket, no light bill. You kicked me out, remember? They said I was a burden. For now I am no longer a burden of anyone. I hung up. I blocked the number. The following week, I focused on rebuilding myself, physiotherapy to the arm, afternoons of silence, the gradual return to life, my life. The colleagues were amazing, they let me work from home until I recover completely. Friends appeared with wine, stories, laughs that were priceless. 2 months later, the doctor released me. The hand healed perfectly. I felt lighter than in years, and there was still indemnity of insurance. You are my personal policy against accidents, played with the plaster, now a trophy on the table. Enough money for a luxury that I never allowed. He flipped through travel sites, choosing a hotel in Antalya when the cell phone rang again. Unknown number. Aliona, it's Mom. I don't need to know what you want. I need help. The answer is no. It's a knee operation. The doctor said it is urgent. With no decent insurer, it does not enter a private clinic. It costs 400,000. Almost laughs. Pay you. I don't have that money. Now health matters. When I was in the ICU, you said I was dramatic and too expensive. They expelled me by exhausting the coverage. Now want my help. It is serious. Without surgery, I can stay in a wheelchair. They should have thought of it before. When they decided I was very expensive. She cried. Please, Aliona, I'm your mother. No. Mothers do not abandon injured daughters. Mothers do not exchange a daughter's life for a lifting in the other. You are cruel. Only. You exact. I treat you with the same consideration you had with me. They said I was ungrateful and selfish. For this is my gratitude. I hung up. I blocked. One more number less in my life. A month later, I bumped into Aunt Marina in the supermarket. His face writhed when he saw me. Aliona, how are you after the accident? Thanks. I am great. Fully recovered. Good. I heard about the situation with your parents. What situation? Your mother's operation. Had to do in the public hospital. It didn't work out. Need another surgery to fix. I looked at her. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel sorry. I felt nothing. What a shame. Aunt Marina looked shocked. Aliona, it's your mother. She made it clear, in this family, care is price. When I needed it, I won trash on the lawn and sermons about being too expensive. But it's family. Family that does not support does not deserve loyalty. They made a mistake, but, there is no but. I took my basket and went to the cashier. She must have called me a monster. Whatever. That weekend, I booked the trip. Business class, 5-star hotel, all-inclusive, spa, full package. I spent insurance money on me not to support. I saw me as ATM sitting in my renewed room, looking at photos of Turkish beaches on the notebook. A truth hit me as a wave. For the first time in adulthood, I was happy. No emotional blackmail. None you owe. No weight other than mine. The phone, silent. The bank account, mine. The time, mine. Life finally mine. Someone will say, you are spiteful, vengeful. I say, I'm realistic. 4 years, I gave this family everything, money, time, love, pieces of me. When I needed it, they show how much I was worth. Nothing. I am not bitter. I am free. And in a week, I will be free on a sea drumming in Antalya, with a cocktail in hand and the certainty that for the first time no one will ask me anything in return.